Start with fire, add oil, let it simmer. From the crew at 58 Surf and Stab, this isn't just a podcast, it's a sensory experience. Fresh from the coast, full of flavor, and prepared to perfection. Well, kinda. This is 58 Surf and Turf. Let's get cooked. Well, welcome back to 58 Surf and Turf. Today's guest is Peter Joli Wilson. Something that I'm about to say kind of feels like a big claim, but at the same time, I think it's really hard to dispute. I would say you're the most, I don't know if I want to use the word legendary or iconic surf photographer of all time. I mean, you were around from when the surf industry was even starting, right? Like from the early days in Torquay?
Yes.
Now here you are.
I was there in Torquay when I was living in Torquay, not at the beginning of Rip Curl and Quicksilver. That was 2 or 3 years before I moved into Torquay. But I was aware of them. I first started surfing down around Torquay in the mid-'60s. So if a legend attaches to your age, I'll take that one. But so I was there at the very beginning when Rip Curl and Quicksilver were setting up, and I ended up working for Quicksilver right through the 80s, 82 to 89, as a marketing and advertising and promotion guy, in charge of the team.
Yeah.
So, but going back, I can remember when Quicksilver was just operating in this tiny little house with ladies on, pedal sewing machines out the back, and the warehouse was the garage, where the car would normally be put and things like that. And Rip Curl too, back
Wasn't there a Swan logo for Quick for a little bit of time in the early days? I remember hearing.
I don't know. They used to be called UGG Manufacturing, and they were making sort of sheepskin things like car wheel covers and things like steering wheel covers and things like that, and UGG boots, which before UGG became sort of known.
Yeah.
And I don't know when the transition happened, and I know Simon Buttonshaw designed the Mountain and Wave logo, and I've still got a T-shirt with one of the original T-shirts somewhere in my storage.
Wow.
But I don't know when it switched over. There was a Swan logo, but I'm not quite sure whether that was part of a Hare Krishna logo back in the 70s. I'm not quite sure where that sits in. So you've got me on that one.
Well, anyway, back in that era, I know you gravitated towards photography from a young age. Like, I think I read that your father or grandfather had some success with filmmaking, and then you got a camera when you were a kid and off to the races?
Off to the races. My grandfather was a very good amateur filmmaker and photographer, and he sort of got my interest in photography. My godfather gave me a camera for my confirmation. No Bible, no crucifix, a camera. And around that same time, I saved up half the price of a surfboard, and my parents gave me the other half to buy a surfboard for my 14th birthday.
Wow.
And the very first photograph that I actually processed and made prints of was me holding that surfboard. And I still have a print. I have a couple of prints that I made, did I say in 1964, of that surfboard, me holding it. This pudgy kid in a little tight pair of shorts, holding a 9'2" board.
A 9'2"?
Yeah.
Wow. You were ready to chase you were storming bells with that thing, weren't you?
No, I was chasing little 2-foot waves at Torquay back beach.
Wow. So, I mean, that's age 14. Obviously, I know I definitely didn't have much direction at 14, but did you find that you're gravitating more to one or the other, riding waves or taking photos, just a bit of everything that you're just exploring at that young age?
I used to live where I grew up was 100 kilometres from the beach, and I used to store my surfboard at a surf lifesaving club, which Australia has, on most of the beaches. And I'd hitchhike down from my home in central Victoria in Ballarat to the ocean on the weekends and surf. Would sleep in the surf club and spend the weekend there, and then I'd hitchhike back on Sunday afternoon and go back to school on the Monday. But at the school, at my high school, I was the high school photographer. And so I used to take photos for the yearbook and things like that. So the photography and surfing, like, just kept on continuing for a long time. Still is, pretty much.
It's still going.
So it's still going. So it's, the direction was sort of there, and I just ended up, moving to the coast, early 70s, and living in Torquay. So I moved from Melbourne down to there. So
yeah. And then around that time, you had some friends that were just starting these small companies known as Quicksilver, Rip Curl, like you said, just little,
little companies,
little things.
Yes.
Did they go anywhere, those?
They went through a lot of ups and downs, I can tell you. Right through, as I said, I worked for Quicksilver into the 90 or 89, and seriously, there was Quicksilver used to shut down at Easter time. And they would start up again in September. So they'd shut around March or April and do nothing during that, which was winter in Australia.
Wow.
And they'd start up, they'd buy fabrics and try and figure out finances to finance the next summer's production and start up again in September. So that's how they were doing. They'd be up and down financially. Rip Curl was the same, pretty much. They had wetsuits for the winter, but like summer was hard time for them. So both those companies struggled through opposite seasons in the early times when they started.
Yeah. And so you were shooting, I'd imagine, just being in that circle, you were shooting some stuff for them. Like how was this as those brands grew, how did your kind of career grow? Did you get the sense that you're growing along with them? Because there's just
I was working through the 70s and early 80s. I was working as a photographer at a university in Geelong, which is just near Torquay. And the cool thing about that was that I ended up being in the small media department, and they were developing a off-campus courses and things like that. So it was a new university, and their structure was that they would supply off-campus materials, so external study. So they had a humanities department, a really strong humanities department, a really strong architectural department, biology, and I was the photographer that would do anything in the university that the departments needed. So I was doing a whole lot of bits and pieces. And as I said, we were working in a very small media department. They had a video guy, an audio guy, a photographer, and through that I got to go on an interview. The humanities department was very strong on religious side of it, and I ended up at one stage being the audio guy when they interviewed the Dalai Lama.
Wow.
So in a little room, there's not much bigger than this booth, I was there, the boom guy, holding onto the audio boom and recording the conversation, their interview, and ended up getting to meet him and photograph him and things like that.
No way.
So that was one of the very cool things when I worked at the university. But any visiting dignitaries, I'd photograph them, like the Prime Minister or American poets or whatever. It was a very cool job.
Yeah.
But I was also doing work, shooting product stuff for Rip Curl and Quicksilver just on the side. Like, I've got photos of Wayne Lynch wearing a spring suit, and shot in my lounge room and things like that.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is that when Quicksilver decided to start up here in Europe really strongly, the guy that was in charge of doing the advertising and promotion, he came to Europe, but they came to me and said, how would you like his job? So they headhunted me from the university, and I said, well, okay, I don't know what the job is. I'm sure I'm a photographer, but, and then they said, well, you're bringing photography to the job, but do you want the job? And I said, well, yes. Here am I living in Torquay, I've grown up with these guys, and they're going, well, come and work for us. And I'm going, okay, well, surfing, that's sort of where I want to go. So I gave up my photography, the job at the university, and went to work for Quicksilver. Wow.
And so your job was marketing and advertising?
Marketing, advertising, and team guy.
Yeah.
So pretty much I did all. I was responsible to Alan Green. He was my boss. He was the founder of Quicksilver, and our offices were side by side. And basically what he told me when I started was that he said, just take it and roll with it. He said, if you mess up, I'm going to kick you up the arse. If you don't, you're not going to hear from me. And it took me about 3 months to figure out what my job was. I had no idea. And it finally dawned on me that I could do anything I wanted, as long as I didn't mess up. So I grew with the job.
Nice. So then did you start to kind of put together some trips, or just say, hey guys, we got this, let's go shoot some stuff here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I took photography to the job, and what we were doing was that I had, like guys from Tom Carroll and Wes Lane and Willie Morris, who else did I have, like Dave McCauley, all these guys, Jamie Brissick, all that, they were there as the Quicksilver team. And what I was doing was putting the trips together, and off we'd go. And I'd take the photos and write a story and get them published. Yeah. So that's really, in the magazines at that time, I think Burton in Europe was doing it, but I didn't find that out until a lot later. But what I was doing was sending off those articles to magazines all over the world. Yeah. And with photos and a Quicksilver team. So I was still using other photographers for advertising and things if they had really good shots, but I'd pick it on merit, not it's my shot, I'm going to put it in. But that's how it worked. So I'd started that, and probably right through most of the 80s, that's what I was doing with the team, which was pretty cool.
Do you remember your first cover?
No. My first cover. No, I don't. I've had covers of tracks. That's popping into my head. I can remember the first Surfer magazine covers. I had, I had covers all over the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh yeah, Surf Portugal. When they closed down, we had a talk story a couple of years ago down in the Algarve, and Joel Valente had set up all the magazines, got up and introduced me and said, here's the person that had the most Surf Portugal covers in the history of Surf Portugal.
Wow.
And the funny thing is that my wife, Jan, who's Mrs. Joli, we had the only issue that had two covers was unfortunately when Andy Irons died, and Kelly Slater won his 10th world title within a few days of each other. And the funny thing is that Jan had a surfing photo on the cover, and I had the reverse cover of Portrait of Andy. So we had two covers in the family in one magazine.
No way. That one would stick out. That's I think that would be the only instance in which I can't think of any other photographer that might have had that. Just keeping it in the family like that.
Definitely, yeah.
Wow. Well, going back to those early days at Quicksilver, any trip that sticks out? Like once you realize you kind of had that carte blanche to get a crew together and go places, anything. I mean, surf travel is a much different ball game back then, but what sticks out?
I've got two that stick out. So the one quick one, it was a surf trip to Indonesia, and I'd put together a team. I had Marvin Foster, Chappie Jennings, Richard Cram, a guy from Brazil and a guy from Japan. And basically we'd got on a surf travel boat from Bali, and we went over to Lombok, and then we sailed over to Sumbawa. And what ended up happening is that the guy from Brazil, George Picali, got seasick as soon as he stepped on the boat. Oof. So he was seasick. We got to Sumbawa, their boat anchored, and he jumped over the side. There was where we'd pulled up, we had 6-foot surf on the reef. Jumped over straight away to go stop his seasickness, paddled out. Within about 10 or 15 minutes, he was back on the boat, cut from his knee to his shoulder blade, like fully scraped across the reef. And we sat there. Chappie Jennings was also on this trip, scrubbing his back to get the coral out. Oof. And that became Scar Reef.
Would check out. Name checks out.
That's where that... And then while we were there, we were going backwards and forwards to another break. We were sailing every day up and back because the surf wasn't as good as at Scar Reef. And that break became Yo-Yo's. Okay. So those two breaks were named on that trip.
Wow. I get it. Yo-yoing back and forth?
Yep. Yo-Yo's up and down, and Scar Reef from that. So the other trip that I put a trip to G-Land together with Tom Carroll and Terry Dominic. I'm just trying to think, some other guys from America, which became the basis of All Down the Line.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is that I'd put together, Jeff Hornbaker was there, Nick Carroll was there to write about it, Dan Merkel was there to film it, Dick Hoole was there filming it with me, and I shot it, but we ended up getting really incredible footage and then didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So it slowly developed where Danny Wills was this Grom that was there, and we wanted to, we were sponsoring him. I'd set up, I can remember sitting at his parents' kitchen table, signing up this 12-year-old or 13-year-old, which was really I couldn't quite get my head around it, but I'm doing it. Here am I promising him, you'll get a pair of board shorts and some T-shirts or something, and maybe you might, go do a surf trip or something. But we ended up roping him in and getting a film together, and that became All Down the Line.
Yeah.
So that's the other trip that probably stands out.
Wow, that must have been an interesting era.
Well, it was like during the 80s, it was almost like Quiksilver was one of the top brands in the world, and it was almost you think you were coming up with things, how to market them. I made the first sort of those lifestyle cut up of Tom Carroll, like as a marketing ploy, and had them in surf shops where he was standing next to the trunks and things like this, or shorts.
I guess, he's a pretty small guy though, so it's pretty cost effective. You don't want to.
It was cost effective. I didn't have to. It wasn't Wes Lane, who was 6'4".
No, so it was a good.
It was Tommy Carroll like that, pushing 5 foot.
Yeah, you could do.
These slides were pretty big though. I don't know whether it went.
Plays this lifestyle much.
So you're able to not get away with things, but it was an innovative time, and being a market leader, you had some leeway to play around with.
Yeah. Nice. And so you were there for about 10 years in that role?
No, I was there from 82 to 89. I left.
Okay.
Late 89 when I left. Yeah, late September, around August, September. Yeah.
And was that to focus more on just photography, or just do a bit more of your own thing?
To do my own thing, pretty much. That's the start of Joli.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that I'll go back 6 or 8 months, maybe a year, and the other photographers, I won't name who they were complaining to Quiksilver that I was favouring my work and they weren't going to present their work to Quiksilver. And I was sort of told, okay, cool it with your photography, which was pretty hard for me to do. I stopped using my own stuff in Quiksilver, but I've just gone, I can't stop taking photos.
Yeah. And
we ended up coming up with Joli, which is my mother's maiden name, which is Jolly. And between my wife and I, Jan and I, we went, we give it a French twist. And basically, that's where Joli came from.
Oh, so cool.
Phonetically, it still sounds the same.
Yeah.
But it's in French. It's pretty or beautiful or pretty in French. So that's where it came from. And I continued my photography, but not interfering with my work at Quiksilver. And when I left Quiksilver, basically, Joli was out in the open. So
nice. So just career-wise, that looked like just talking to anybody, media, brands, anybody who would need any surf image and getting on trips and making it happen.
Sort of thing. Yeah. So that's pretty much. I knew a lot of the surfers. and new places around the world where I could go, and I knew people that lived there and things like that. So my grounding in the surf industry had come from my work at Quicksilver, so I just continued doing that as a freelance.
Great.
Yeah.
I imagine those next years were quite fun. And have they stopped yet?
No. The money that, probably financially that slowed down, but at the time, no, I was pretty much at that time, those early 80s, late 80s and early 90s, or through the 90s. I mean, I think I was supplying nearly 42 Fig magazines in the world.
Wow. Take that, Ryan Miller.
Yeah, he brought his marketing head to it and changed a lot of its stuff. But yeah, but that was sort of. But we'd be doing stuff on the road, like getting film processed. I mean, one of the first trips here to Ericeira, I can be sitting up there. I've got a photo on my hard drive of me sitting there in a little Portuguese house with a little table with looking at transparencies that I've had processed in Lisbon, trying to figure out where I'm going to send them. And I don't know whether we used a Billabong factory to go, hey, can I get FedEx to come to you guys to pick this package up to send to America, or that sort of thing.
The logistics of getting supplying images to 42 different outlets in that era must have been really something.
Well, I said if I had a post office, a place to have my film processed, then I could supply my work, And when faxes came in, I did a contest in Brazil where I'd written a story about the trip and they had to do it on a teletype. They had to transfer it to a tape to send it through to somebody on a teletype. So, I mean, that's sort of pretty much how it was. Or I'd be go to Tahiti in the early 90s, and I might take 50 to 100 rolls of film. If somebody lost in the contest or was going back to Australia, I'd get it sent back, go back with them. My wife would pick it up, send it to the lab. She'd get it back, and I'd be going on the phone, how does it look? She'd go, oh, the water's blue, the sky's blue. I go, no, never tell me what it was like. And she's going, no, it's cool, it looks good. I'm going, But I mightn't see something that I'd shot for a month.
That's incredible.
And so
it sounds like the easy part was just taking the photo then. It was everything that had to happen after the fact that was the real job.
It's much easier now. Well, if you've got Wi-Fi, now all I need is Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you don't
That's
need post office?
No. But it's one of those ones where we went through that whole thing, like post offices or FedExes or, having film processed without seeing it. I'd send rolls to Surfer magazine and I wouldn't see what I'd shot for months because they'd maybe publish 10 photos or 20 photos or something, and then it'd be months before they'd send everything back. So it's that sort of thing what we were known for was what I'd do is get my film back, I'd edit, go through it, put labels on them, put the name on it, where it was shot, all that, and my wife would be cataloguing them. Right now, I mean, she'll tell you that we've got 498,000 catalogued images.
Wow.
Analog images from starting in the 70s right through until the digital age.
498,000.
I say 500,000. I round it out to 500,000.
You might need to get the analog camera back out there for another year or two just to get to hit that mark.
So I look at that archive, and I'm scanning that on demand now. I mean, people go, "Oh, why don't you digitize your archive?" Going, in my next life.
That'd be quite an undertaking.
But I've had requests like Trax were doing an article on France, the 6 weeks in France in 1992. And I'm going, you got shots of this? And I'm going, yep.
Yeah.
Let me just scan a few and I'll send them off to you. So I mean, that's sort of things or like there was a thing about Kelly, and they're going, have you got shots of Kelly winning the pipe? And I'm going, yeah, I've got photos of every pipe win except the last one.
Yeah.
And they're going, well, where are they? And I said, well, I can send. Most of them are in my archive up online, which is over 120,000 images online.
I've been on there.
Yes. So you can type most of this stuff. I mean, I'm finding with people doing things going, hey, you haven't got any shots of this person up. Oh, okay, I'll get some. Give me a week or so.
Yeah, I'll make it happen.
I'll make it happen. Yeah. So, I mean, I've kept the same cataloging numbers and the same. Well, now I know how important metadata is. So originally it was a caption, not a caption, but who was in the photo and where it was taken. Those two things, and our name and address, and so you send it back to us. But so that was really important at the beginning of cataloguing all our images.
Yeah.
And now I do workshops, and my very first workshop I glossed over metadata. I talked about it but didn't say how important it was. And then I got the workshop people that work to send me their photos, and nobody had any metadata in their photos. And I'm just going, okay. So the next workshop I did, I had this big stick and just beat them over the head every time I got a chance. Metadata. And I mean, there was a saying about a photo's worth 1,000 words, but without words, the photo is useless. Now,
yeah.
That's the story. So,
I like that.
Yeah. So I've been very conscious of metadata, how important it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're sitting on an archive like that, it's
so
going to make your life a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Throughout the bulk of your career, would you say it was a balance between, obviously for decades, the best surfers in the world have been on tour? And so would you say the bulk of it was kind of going around tour events? Because even when they're not surfing in heats, they're going to be surfing around. Or was it like 50-50 that versus just kind of different kind of free surf only trips elsewhere? What would you say the balance was?
I started following the tour because the best surfers were on the tour.
Yeah.
And there was that balance between free surfing and tour surfing. And for a long time that was there, that the best surfers were on tour. And it slowly started to change. I think there was sort of not a backlash against competitive surfing, but people wanted the soul surfing aspect of it. And at the beginning it wasn't an industry, but it became an industry. Mm-hmm. So when Kelly dropped off the tour, he just went, well, there's better surfers out there, than what should be on the tour. There's good free surfers. And he got burnt out, which I think is sort of late 90s or something like that. And he'd won 5 world titles at that stage. My numbers are probably a little bit out, but he'd won enough world titles. And he just went, I'm going to take a couple of years off. I can remember the first press conference that he did, which was in Australia, up at Burleigh for a Billabong Pro. It was the first contest of the year. And I can remember him sitting there in the press conference saying, the reason I'm back is the best surfers are on tour. And in that year was Bruce Irons was there and Andy was there. So he was considering, especially Bruce, because he'd been doing these trips all over the place and surfing really well, and at Pipe and also in Indonesia and places. And I think Kelly just went, okay, I've got something to prove again. So that was sort of the best surfers were back on tour. Now I think it's gone the other way again. It's sort of, there's some incredible surfers on tour, and it's professional. That's their choice to be a professional surfer. And then there's the people that are incredible free surfers, like Ando and some of those guys. But that's their choice to be in that zone too. And it's so now it's probably 50-50.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and then it was, and then it wasn't, and then it was again. So
swings back and forth.
Yeah.
Was there a favorite era to photograph for you?
there's been highlights right through it. No, I don't know whether there's a favourite era at all. I mean, I like the concept of the Dream Tour because that was G-Land, Cloudbreak, Teahupo'o, Pipe, those sorts of places which are really, really photogenic and having the best surfers in the best waves, J-Bay, but it still happens. I mean, I've got shots of all those places of people free surfing as well as competitive surfing. So it's, I think, sort of in a way that the tour lost a little bit of its gloss, over the last 5 years last 5 or 6 years, a little bit. But I mean, you'd still have great Peniche or great J-Bay or, so it's a hard one, that one, in a way.
Yeah.
But, I can't pinpoint going, this was a classic. I've probably around the mid-90s, I've did a lot of trips and got some great waves. So I don't know whether it was 97 that I had some really good stuff, or 99 or around then, but no, there's no one era that I could go, this was the best.
Okay, what about just performance level? Obviously, performance has changed a lot over the years. Interpretation is different, but any, even if it comes down to an event where you just feel like everybody was surfing really good, what are some of like the surfing that you just could not believe that you were witnessing moments you've had in your career?
I'm just going to go back to mid-July, J-Bay. I've just witnessed some of the best surfing I've ever seen at J-Bay, and I've been going to J-Bay since the 90s. And seriously, I've seen Oki surf there, I've seen Curran surf there, and what was going down, well, I've seen Felipe Titolito. I mean, the first year that he just ripped the place apart, I was in Australia just screaming at my computer, just screaming. You're kidding me. The next year I saw him surf it, and what he was doing was incredible.
Yeah.
And then this year, I'm just going, okay, there's 5 people, and 2 of them are girls, that are just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, it was such a canvas. And what Conor O'Leary was doing, like coming off the bottom and hitting the lips so vertical, it was better than Oki and Curran. Like, and everybody's going, oh, what about them? And I'm going, hey, I've witnessed it firsthand. I was there.
These eyes saw that.
Yeah. And I mean, Oki used to impress me about how quickly he could come off the bottom and hit the lip. Yeah. And there's goofy footers that were surfing J-Bay that would hit the lip and then it wants to run away. They think it's going to run away from them. So they were hitting the lip and then going along it. Whereas Oki was going, I don't care. And Michael Lowe used to be able to do it, and there's a couple of others. But then Connor was just like, let me hit this lip and just like put it this back. And even Iago, he was surfing incredibly well, but when I look at the photos, he was actually using the lip in a different way. But then Molly Pickman, like, what she was doing is like crazy. Like, and this is a girl that's like surfing it better than some of the guys.
Like, unimaginable.
Yeah, and it's
in the even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Tahiti a year ago. I was there for nearly a month, and I had 3 swells, and I had the people that were there to training for the Olympics. I had the contest crew, and then after it and stuff like that. And some of that surfing was like incredible. The Tahitians. And I first started going to Teahupo'o, which is, I want to say 92, 93, around then. Nobody surfed it. And then I've been there through Code Red and some of those sorts of days, and the QSs that were there and the CTs. And what the Tahitians are doing now, Matea Joli and a lot of his guys, Tanika Smith and all, what they're doing, like, they're in that zone, they're the best in the world.
Yeah,
like,
guys going to switch on 10-footers.
And not afraid, or it's really interesting watching how they surf it, because I can remember when it got really big the first time, and the guys on Australian boards, quivers from Australia, couldn't hold it off the bottom. They'd go down into a bottom turn and the fins would come out or the tail would lift up. The guys on Hawaiian boards were sticking their rails.
Yeah.
The guys now, if you watch how they surf it, both front side and back side, how much pressure they put on the back inside rail, back third of the inside rail when they're taking off.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. And I'm talking the Tahitians. I'm not talking regular surfers that go there once a year and stuff like that. But it's interesting how they take off on those really steep drops and how they get the rail to dig in. So board design and technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, Ameo Zermac,
Yeah.
his surfing seems to be on a different...
He and Matea, they're left and right, like Goofy and Natural.
Yeah.
They're the bookends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really incredible what those guys are doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, I could ask another subjective question, favorite era, favorite surfing you've seen. I'm going to be more objective here.
Okay.
What photo that you've shot, not your favorite photo you've shot, what photo that you've shot do you feel like is either the most referenced when people talk to you or maybe the most in demand when people reach out looking to license something? What photo seems to come up more than the rest? The one
that sort of has become, well, I don't particularly like the word iconic, but it's shot reef draining, which at Teahupo'o, shot in 1999 on film, and it defined Teahupo'o at the time. And that's one that, from grandmothers to little kids that can't understand what's going on with the ocean and how it looks.
I looked at that earlier today. I still don't understand it.
No.
Was that just a super, super deep one? Because where the surfers are sitting is nowhere near that thing. It's early days, so...
that was really the first time they'd seen it like that, like as a contest. And what had happened is a really west swell. And I mean, from my point of view as a photographer, I'm sitting there in the boat in the little channel, and I'm looking at these swells, the bigger swells, and the horizon would go like that. It would have about a 10-degree angle to it.
Yeah.
When I'm looking straight at it and it's going this way, and I'm thinking, how do I capture this? And I had two bodies with me, one with a 300, 2.8 on it, and another one which was a zoom, which was 28 to 300. And from my point of view, I was just lucky that I had my 28 to 300 in my lap or in my hands when that wave came. And I ended up photographing it, and probably at about a 50 or even maybe a 30 on the zoom, and got off about 6 or 7 frames of that wave breaking like that. And if you look at it closely, you can actually see Rob Machado's afro in the up in the top corner of the image, because the back's flat.
Yeah.
It's seriously, it's about like half a metre high. The back.
Yeah.
And right down there is 4 meters of like wave that goes back under, and the water's draining into the base of it. And it's like, okay, this is a pretty crazy shot. I've been on an aeroplane coming back from somewhere and said that I was a surf photographer, and the person sitting next to me goes, oh, I've seen this shot, like it has to be photoshopped and it's got these people sitting here and this, and I'm going, no, I took that shot, and I'm telling you, it's not photoshopped, or it's not, it's not mixed up, So, but that's the one that probably people look at and still can't relate to.
Yeah. Did you know when you shot this thing, obviously saw that wave, saw that you were in a good spot to shoot it, but you didn't get to see it for a while?
I didn't see it. The funny thing is that the film went back to Australia, and Jan sent it off to be processed. And my very good friend, who was also my best man, Ted Grambo, happened to be at the lab when that film was being processed. And he saw those photos before I did. And he rang me in Tahiti and said, I should have been there. Like, look at these, you've got these incredible shots. And I'm going, well, at least he's giving me an opinion where Jan's going, the sky's blue and the water's blue. But I didn't see them for probably about 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, but when I saw it, I was like, whoa, okay, I got it. Because I've seen other shots of the same wave, but people with long lenses, so they had no perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
One of those, yes, lucky moment. Yeah.
That thing is crazy. Like I said, still a trip on it today. For some reason, you just don't see anything. You see so much of Tahiti these days, but really hard to find something like that. There's an Andy shot that you've taken too that I think it's just the water is so blue. It's just so
there's
windless.
If there's been no rain, and I mean the nice thing about Teahupo'o is that it's front lit in the mornings, so you get this really the sun shines through the lip of the barrel, so you can see a line this lip line that reflects all the way out. Like it's crazy. The light there at times is beautiful.
Yeah.
And if really light winds, front lit, calm and big swells, it can be really nice. Yeah. So I mean I've shot a lot of Cloudbreak and Teahupo'o, and lots of different places, but they've both got really special, beautiful light and good barrels and things like that.
Yeah. Well, a place that you're now pretty focused on shooting does not share many of the lighting qualities as Tahiti does.
No, I did nail a really beautiful backlit shot of a paddle-in surfer a couple of weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah. So I was even driving down here today. I was Juan, a guy from Argentina, a paddle guy, just in this super sweet spot, like light. It's a 30-foot wave, maybe a 40-foot wave, and just right in the sweet spot, and he's just got almost pushed into it, like he's taking this massive drop.
Was it from that Sunday a few weeks ago?
Sunday, yeah. And it was just on the corner. I just moved position because of all the spray in the bay, because it holds the wind holds the spray in, so you've got all this mist in the air, full of salt and all that, and lighting's like it just drives you nuts. I've been coming to Nazaré for 4 winters, and I still walk those cliffs and still look for the sweet spot to stand on the land to shoot, and I guarantee I've not found it yet. And I've shot thousands of photos there. I'm still looking for it, by the way. But the lighting can be really nice there sometimes, but it can be a bitch at times too. Like it's horrible.
Yeah. I've met somebody recently. He's not a very big surfer, but he's from France, and he comes down whenever it's going to be big, and he just focuses on he tries to find faces. He figures if he takes enough photos of just the mist and the waves, especially colliding with the cliffs that you're describing, that you'll just inevitably see faces in some of the mist.
I see faces a lot.
Yeah.
I've got faces. That same swell that I shot, or not the same swell, but the same days in Tahiti, there was faces in the barrel. I see faces in the barrel at Teahupo'o a lot, and here I see them in the white water as well. I've got one that looks like King Neptune from a big spray hitting up the coast a bit further north than Nazaré. But I shot a photo, that same swell that we're talking about 2 weeks ago, and I reckon there's 5 faces in the wave.
Wow.
And somebody said that's Kim.
It's a whole family.
Yeah, Kim Neptune and his cousins. That's how it was. I actually put it up on social media and said, how many faces do you see? And this other photographer come back going, at least 5. It's Kim Neptune and his cousins.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I see those, and I look at how much power there's in the Atlantic Ocean. Like, it's incredible. Like, I'm around the ocean pretty much all my life, and I think here on this coast is the most powerful I've seen the ocean. So that's Cloudbreak and Teahupo'o and Indonesia and all those places. But here, the Atlantic Ocean has, I think, got the most power.
Yeah, it's. I even feel that even it's just like day-to-day waves like today.
Yeah.
It's still not necessarily easy to surf.
No,
it's not very.
no.
You go to France even, and if it's this size, it's like just feels so much more soft and playful.
Yeah.
Here it's still like, I have to kind of not get outpowered by this 2-foot wave.
Yeah. No. So I think. I mean, I watch the waves breaking, and also the explosions that happen with the whitewater, and I look at it and just go, the Atlantic Power Company, it's there.
Yeah. And so fourth full winter, what do you like about staying in the town? I mean, you must enjoy it if you're 4 winters deep.
I find that in where we are, we're in the Sitio, and I find that it's very traditional there. It's like narrow streets, cobblestone. I'm walking on cobblestones all the time. I mean, it might sound very romantic to people that live in Portugal, but it's for an Aussie, like from down under, cobblestones and the history of where we are. I mean, I look at in the Sitio there's a church that's 11th century. The legend goes back to 700 or something like that, or the 10th century or 11th century. Tamar, which is the centre of the Knights of the Templar, Akabasara is one of the biggest monasteries in Europe. All this, it's all there. And it's a really tight little community, fishing community. It's got a lot of tradition. The carnival's unreal, and they're always celebrating something. But we've got really good neighbours that look out for us. They joke about the Portuguese security system, that the neighbours are looking out over what's going on all the time. So we feel as though we fit into the community.
Yeah.
And we appreciate the community very much. Like where we are, and just Portugal in general.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, I imagine you could be pretty selective with your travel these days, but you mentioned J-Bay before. Is there still certain just other parts of the world that any chance you get to go there, you'll immediately say yes?
Pretty much.
Most parts, or is J-Bay on high up on that list? What else comes up?
I mean, I spent a lot of time in Fiji. I was working on Tavarua and Namotu for shooting the guests and things. So that's easy it's a 3.5 hour flight. I'd be spending weeks at a time or months at a time over there. So, so I that's easy, and easy to get to, and I enjoy, because it's I'm in a boat and doing what I love.
Yeah.
People go. I've been to, say, the Maldives, where I was with a company that was a travel company that sent me there to work on at one of the resorts, and they said, "Oh, look, we're worried about you because you shoot professionals all the time. How are you going to relate to guests?" And I said, "Well, I still think that surfing's fun.
Yeah.
And if somebody's having a good time, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if they're ending the ride with a smile on their face, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's how I approach surfing. Have fun. That's what it's about. And I mean, I've been lucky enough to photograph people riding their very first wave. I mean, a couple of years ago, this is in the Maldives, and one afternoon we were going out to photograph, and the waves were tiny, like waist high, and we had to go to a spot that was hardly ever surfed because of the size of the swell. And it was a Portuguese man who had got a surfboard for his 50th birthday.
Uh-huh.
And he rode a wave for about 30 or 40 metres.
Wow.
And I photographed it, which I thought, okay, well, I've nailed it. That night, there was a reception for all the people that were staying, and his wife came up to me and said, "You do not know what you've done." Because he's wanted to surf for years, thought he was too old, the kids got together and bought him a surfboard for his birthday, and you photographed him on his riding it for the very first time.
Wow.
And you don't know what you've done. And that, for me, it still gives me goosebumps, is what I figure surfing's all about.
Wow, that is incredible.
So that's where I come from. That's my passion is photography, but also to see people enjoy themselves surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a cool story. Do you, where does that guy go from there? Does he just say, "Hey, needs to be part of my life now"? Like,
well, I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, another one, a guest in Fiji, he'd, what had happened was he'd been coming to Fiji regularly and had turned, 65 or something, and he thought that he'd wanted to catch a wave at Cloudbreak and hadn't caught a wave at Cloudbreak in the times that he'd come in previously. And he was there, and the swell was really, really sweet swell. It was soft, and we'd been talking to him. He's going, "Oh, I can't come out to Cloudbreak. It's, I said, "Look, today is the day you should come out." I said, "The swell is really good. We'll look after you. Like, come out."
Yeah.
And anyway, he came out in the boat, jumped in, and my instructions were to people that were doing it, none of these lifeguards there doing. I said, "Look, don't chase the small ones, because what'll happen is you start paddling for little ones, you miss it, and you get there's 3 little ones, and all of a sudden there's one that's double the size, and you're on the reef." Mm-hmm. Anyway, what ended up happening, that was what I'm saying. Don't chase the little one, don't follow the little ones. And one of the lifeguards was helping too, and they got him, between us, we got him on a wave, and I photographed it. And that night at dinner, everybody's on the different tables, there's about 30 or 40 people there eating at the tables. He's got up on his table, like, boom, boom, banging the glass until he stops and goes, "Okay, this is my story, and I have to he thanked me and the lifeguard." He said, "I've spent most of my life dreaming about catching a wave at Cloudbreak, and today I did. And I want to thank these guys for doing it." And I'd photographed it as well. So it was, they're the things that go, "Okay, I'll take that one." Yeah.
I could see that, just having such an emotional connection to people. I mean,
Yeah.
I've also worked for Quicksilver. I've been on trips where, you go, maybe the waves aren't great, but still you're in Indo, but the guys are still, do we have to? And yes, your job is to put on these board shorts and go surf.
Yeah.
So to see the complete other side of that must be...
Well, I look at trips, and I'll go away on a trip like that and go, okay, the surf mightn't be any good, but I'm going to document this trip, which might be more lifestyle than surfing. I mean, I've analysed magazines and go to my workshop people, if you want to be a surf photographer, you can start with a 50mm lens, because if you analyse a magazine, if there's 200 photos in the magazine or 250 photos in the magazine, only about a third are surfing. So, like surfing, professional surfing, you can be as closer than you and I are right now to the top people in the world.
Yeah.
Can't do that in any other sport. You can be standing next to them and getting selfies and shit. Like, so, you can't do that to your Formula One drivers unless you walking, paying a whole lot of money or, all that. And I look at that and go, this is one of the few sports that you can stand next to your hero and get a photo, or you can take a photo. And I said, they stop on the beach, they're being interviewed, those sorts of things. You've got a little short lens, you can get portraits. I'll tell you, right now, I've shot Kelly for this whole career. And there's not once in my whole career that I've gone, "Kelly, I want to do a portrait series with you, or I want to get you in the studio to take portraits." But I've got really, really good photos of Kelly's face that you would never know that weren't shot in a studio or things like that. And I've never put it on him to come into the studio and work.
Yeah.
But I've got stuff that I think is really iconic, or not iconic, but really classic photos of his face that I've shot in a public space.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I tell my people that want to be a surf photographer. You don't need a big lens, and you can do this with a $50 lens and a little second-hand camera from the pawn shop.
Yeah.
So we're lucky in that way in this sport. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing. I haven't been to any of the Olympics, but I remember hearing a story from Tahiti where it was a lay day, and some of the, I think Carissa and a few others were surfing the river mouth just with the local kids, and it's like comparing that to any other Olympic sport where you're like, it's just not happening.
No, it's not.
It's impossible.
No. I've had friends that shot the Olympics and they were pulling their hair out. How difficult it was. I mean, even when the Japanese Olympics were on, they had a little square thing squared off. As a photographer, you're only allowed in this little pen on the beach when your athlete was in the water, and then you had to go back away from it. And I don't know, the waves in Japan were just horrible.
Yeah, bad lighting too.
Great, horrible, and raining and all that. And in Teahupo'o, I've got friends that were shooting, and there was a real hierarchy of where you were in the boats. And I mean, I had friends that were sitting back in the fourth boat between them, and was all these boats, and you're lucky to get the shots, those sorts of things. So
yeah. Did you find it interesting that the Tahiti one just again, you've talked about being on a plane and having the photo that you've shot of Teahupo'o where it's really just you see how much water is sucking up the face, but the photo that went kind of viral from the Olympics, did you find that surprising? Could you find the appeal in that photo? Or?
I did, because I looked at the photo, and I mean, it's a split second, but if you look at the clouds in the background and things, I've looked at that photo and I really like the photo. Yeah. I mean, you and I have probably seen a zillion kickouts, but that's a classic. That's a special moment. I mean, I know the photographer really well.
Yeah, Jerome's a great guy.
Yeah. And I wonder whether I would have had the motor drive down. He says he's only took 4 frames or something like that. But I mean, I look at it and go, the timing. I've seen it shot from other people as well, and he was in the perfect position. Yeah. I think that I can remember being on beaches and you have a newspaper photographer turn up, and somebody's done this massive carve, and I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. A motor drive. Then they've kicked out, and all of a sudden I'm hearing screams coming from the newspaper guy. Oh, look at that! I'm going, hang on, he just kicked out. What's the big deal? But I think it was just epitomised. It looks like Gabrielle's praying. The board's in a perfect place. The leg rope and the clouds looks like he's standing on a ledge of cloud. So I've gone, this is a pretty cool shot. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that shot. And I think, and the viralness of it is that it's something that people, I'd be throwing them away. But it's been blasted out around the world and it became, this is the surfing shot of the Olympics, and probably almost of the whole Olympics, not just surfing. And it was one of those, it resonated with a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, you've been to Nazaré, and people, I mean, I've been there shooting, and my big lens, it's got a really narrow point of view. Like I'm looking at about 10 degrees or something. And I can hear people cheering, and I'm going, what's going on? And all they're doing is clapping and cheering somebody that's made a wave. Yeah. I'm still looking around going, what's happening? What am I missing? And it's just somebody kicking out, and it's sort of, but that appeals to people that have never seen surfing. Mm. I mean, I think I appreciate, at Nazaré, I think about 90% of the people that are standing on the cliffs at Nazaré have got absolutely no idea about surfing. Sure. And what they do is appreciate when somebody drops into a wave and rides it and kicks out, and they clap and cheer. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, I look at it and go, oh yeah, I didn't take a photo. But here it is that people are clapping and cheering.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that, because I think that they're appreciating somebody that's taken on this massive wave and survived.
Yeah.
And it's, so in a way, I look at Nazaré as a tourist town that's got big waves. I look at Ericeira or Peniche and go, there's surfing towns that have got surfers in them.
Yeah.
Whereas Nazaré's got people that are almost adrenaline junkies and good surfers amongst them, but it's the tourist town first.
Yeah, and I mean, if you had no other context of surfing and saw that, you'd have your mind would be blown. You'd be like, what was that?
I look at people that wonder. They don't go down to watch the surfing. They go down to look at the waves.
Yeah.
And the power of the waves.
Yeah.
And how big they are. I've had tourists. I walk down most days and do a little surf check and see what it's going on. And I've had people come up to me going, "Where are the waves?" I go, "Well, you should have been here yesterday, or maybe if you came back in 2 days' time or 3 days later."
But our tour goes here tomorrow.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
They're going, "But is this a tourist hoax?" I said, no, it's not. There's waves coming here. It's like, and I'm going, no, it's not a tourist hoax. It's like, there's massive waves here. Look at my phone. I'll show them to you. But it's really a different thing.
Yeah. Well, at Stab, somebody recently published a story that Jed Smith talked to you for, where you're just talking about surf photography, and I mean actual photography, still photos, and it's a lot of the things that you've said throughout this conversation have kind of come up, but just the kind of details that you get in a photo that you don't get in a video clip, especially one that's just you're looking at amongst 30 other video clips in a 90-second span on in your hand. But yeah, can you just talk a bit about that, just the details that you can get there, that even just you talking about the way the light's hitting it and just all these beautiful things.
It's where do I start? Because I mean, I put out photos. I edit to photos that I like, but I don't really analyze my style. But I know people like what I take, and it's sometimes I don't really necessarily understand what they see in it. I mean, I see something that I like, but how it resonates with them, I don't know. But they appreciate what I've taken and appreciate my photography. So it's, I mean, I've shot a lot of video as well, but sometimes I see images that I say work better in video or better as moving images than still images. I mean, I look at Nazaré, for example, at times and go, I should be videoing this because I'm seeing stuff that it needs movement in it. Whereas with J-Bay or Teahupo'o, I'm looking at my photos and I'm talking about how the local boys hold their line and how they're knifing into the wave. And I think you can only see that from a still.
Yeah.
So, and I'm looking at that going, okay, do other surfers see what I'm seeing? I don't know. But it's people looking at my photography. I'm not more meaning other pro surfers. I'm talking about somebody that sees my image in a magazine or on a website or on their phone. Are they seeing what I see? But that's something that I appreciate, like positioning and how the lighting is, and you I think being around the ocean or being outside, you appreciate where the sun's coming from, how the light's falling, what the waves doing, like all those things, and they almost become subconsciously, oh, this looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even this morning, I got up knowing I was coming here. I'm going, okay, I'm going to do my little surf check earlier. I was walking down just as the sun was coming up.
Yeah.
And as I walked into the square, which is just around the corner from where our apartment is, here's the steeples of the church that's in there, bathed in this beautiful morning golden light, and the rest of the church is in shadow. So I'm going, oh, this is cool. So I've shot that, thinking, okay, this beautiful light.
Yeah.
As I've walked down past the deer statue, or the man, just his head is in the same sort of light. So I'm going, I don't need the whole statue. Here's beautiful light on his face, or on his head. I'm going to use, this is what I take.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing those things that maybe other people just walk straight past. But I'm recording it because it looks cool for me, and I appreciate the light. And maybe if that photo was published, they'd go, oh, that was cool. I was passing that. This photo looks nice of this statue. I walked past that this morning.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things. So I don't sit there and analyse what I've done or what I've shot. But as I say, I put up what I like, what I see and appreciate. And I've got an editor with Mrs. Joli. She's in the background giggling here right now. But she'll go, oh, that's not, I don't like that, or frame it, crop it differently. She's always on my back about cropping. We disagree on crops.
Well, my last question for you. You kind of went into this territory a bit earlier when you were talking about how you don't need to have the best camera available and stuff to start getting after it. Other than marrying well, do you have any advice for people pursuing, I'll say, surf documentation?
What I say is about my life and pursuing it is follow your passion. I mean, that's pretty much my philosophy. I've got 2 kids that I've said, if you're not happy in what you do, stop doing it. And from my point of view, that's how I've approached surfing and photography. I love both. I appreciate good surfing, or I appreciate surfing, but I also love that I'm documenting it. And I've just read a little ditty in the last couple of days about, I'm this geek that has a camera with me all the time, and I'm making memories. That's how I've got a hashtag memory millionaire, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing in the bank, but there's a lot in my head and in the archive. So, but it's follow your passion.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do something bad enough, then do it, and take the criticism or take the knocks or whatever. But if you love what you're doing, it's going to be easy. Yeah.
Well, I like the becoming a memory millionaire idea too, rather than just looking at squiggly lines on a screen to tell you how good you should feel about yourself. So,
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
No, it's very cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's I enjoy where I am in Portugal. So yeah, it's cool to sort of do this.
Well, thanks for coming by 58 Surf and Turf.
Cheers.
Oh, cool. Fun chat.
Yeah.